There's an idea here that what we're doing is we're going vinyasa style, okay, from Paschimotanasana into Savasana. There's a principle called PNF Reflex, originally developed as a concept by the Russian Olympic team in the late 1960s and early 1970s. The U.S., under the American College of Orthopedic Medicine, which then spun off with the American College of Sports Medical Physicians, really got into it. And one of the things that they found out was it was about high performance stretching, high performance range of motion, right? Because we're talking Olympic athletes here. How do we make Olympic athletes more Olympic? Okay? And so one of the things that they found out is that when you do a strong range of motion or a stretch, and you put the tendons and connective tissue under pressure, okay, when you release that stretch, the tissue does not actually release. In other words, when you take the pressure off of the stretch, the tendons and connective tissue that have been hypermobilized or stretched do not actually release or relax. In fact, they go exactly the opposite. They go immediately into contraction. Okay? They go immediately into contraction, and then for 10 or 12 seconds, they go contract, release, contract, release, contract, release. And each time there's a little more release and a little less contraction until after about 12 seconds or so, it stabilizes. When you do a hard stretch and then you go to a relaxed position and you feel that little just for a second and then ease into the floor, that's what you're feeling. That's what you're experiencing. Okay, that's called the PNF reflex, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation reflex. Okay, now when I take her out of a extreme forward bend, when I come up here, if I stop here for just a minute, all right, she goes into a spasm reflex right now. It's happening right now. Then when I go to take her back, guess what? I actually should treat that as a completely different stretch and motion. Because if I do it in less than 15 seconds, in other words, if I come up here, right, and I don't wait until that spasm completely passes, all right, then I'm actually working against it coming back here, okay? So to work with the timing, it's a timing thing. In other words, when we're in the forward bend, and I project, see there's my projection, and then here's the extension. One breath down, she takes another breath, second breath down, a little more. Go ahead and reach your hands out so we can see what you're doing there. And then as she takes her third breath, go right here and one motion, up and back, pause, and then down. So there's no tentative lift, halfway stop, because some people, that PNF reflex is so strong that wherever you stop on the release, they'll freeze there. They'll literally get stuck there. Now, if you work with a lot of range of motion, do a lot of classes, you're going to see people get stuck coming out of a stretch. You'll see them, they look good in the stretch, but it's like when they go to come out, they start the motion, and if there's a little hesitation, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm stuck. Something seizes, something locks. You may have experienced it yourself. It's like a tightening that comes in just a second or two, a few seconds after you release the posture. See? You don't feel it when you're in it. When you overstretch, you get a compensatory reflex, tightening and compression. That's also a PNF reflex. And that is a splinting mechanism. In other words, you overstretch me, I go into the reflex. Why? To stop you. That's the whole point. You know, to stop, right? But the problem is, that's a natural reflex. We have it whenever we do any stretch. If I go like this, I get it. But see, that motion took less than 12 seconds. You see? If I held this at extension, okay, and then slowly came out of that extension, I would feel the compression. Okay? I'd feel that reflex tightening. Okay? All right, anyway, so some of the ways that back spasm manifest is if you stop and then start to take someone, if you stop in the middle, wait at least 10 or 12 seconds before you go to the next part. See, that's another thing I'm saying. If you are going to stop, well then go ahead and make it a rest stop. Wait till the spasm passes. That reflex passes, 12 to 15 seconds. And then go on, and you'll have less resistance. But don't come up halfway, stop, change your position, and then go. It's either go all the way in one motion, or stop halfway and wait for at least 10 seconds before you go on to the next, right? Because if you don't do that, what will happen sometimes, okay? Not all the time, okay? But sometimes, person will have a spasm in their low back, which will be strong enough to impinge the disc or impinge the nerve. They'll get a sharp pain in their low back.